"She can take the dress off my back, but she is not taking my wedding," my fiancé said, her fingers ice cold around my wrist as my phone lit up with a family group chat pinging like a fire alarm. I am me, male, 29 years old. My fiancé, Leah, female, 28 years old. My sister, Hannah, female, 24 years old and pregnant. My parents, Linda and Victor, mid-50s with matching disappointed sighs. The accusation started that morning with my mother's text. "Your sister needs your venue more than you do. Be a good son." There was a picture attached, Hannah's ultrasound on a floral placemat next to a latte and a crusty, half-eaten croissant. My father called 5 minutes later to add divine authority. "It is only a building, son. The person you marry is what matters." If it mattered, why weren't they telling Hannah that? In the first 30 seconds, here is the mini-summary and the teaser. I said no. They called me cruel. My mother tried to transfer the venue behind my back, and I ended up hiring security for my own wedding. And still, the ending is not what anyone expected. The venue matters because Leah and I picked it 3 years ago, when it was just a sketch in a notebook and we were sitting on a curb outside a burrito truck, passing back and forth a foil-wrapped carnitas order and a warm glass-bottled soda. We earned that deposit with overtime hours and canned bean dinners. We stuck with it through a pandemic and 2 date changes and the time the roof actually caved in from a freak storm and the owners swore they would rebuild, and they did. When Hannah announced she was pregnant and needed a spring wedding so the baby would not start life with drama, my parents pushed. I am ashamed to admit I tried to compromise, offered my florist, my playlist, even our caterer's non-refundable tasting date. But the venue? No. Leah's eyes glittered like a dare when I told her. "We are done being the family's emergency exit," she said. "We are the fire code." At our apartment, the air smelled like fresh coffee and the cinnamon candle Leah lights when she is anxious. My best friend Jordan, male, 30 years old, sprawled across our thrift store couch with a greasy slice of pepperoni and said, "Man, you give an inch, they'll steal your last nerve." He has a way of turning worry into stand-up. "Remember my cousin's wedding? Security guards and a metal detector because Aunt Denise swore she'd peacefully protest." He winked at Leah. "We can get matching earpieces. I called dibs on saying, 'We've got a situation at the bar.'" Leah laughed, but her thumb kept circling the rim of her mug. The laughter did not fix the knot in my stomach. And then my father's final text chimed, "Be reasonable, son." I took a long breath. "Reasonable is over," I said. "Reasonable got us trampled." The night ended with me setting a password on every vendor account and telling my parents our answer was still no. I did not know the password would save our wedding. Yet. There is always a golden child in family myths. Ours is Hannah. When we were kids, Hannah borrowed my bike and left it at the park. I got grounded for not sharing. Hannah failed Spanish. I got lectured for not tutoring her enough. It never mattered that I was the one who babysat, who cooked boxed mac and cheese while our parents worked late, who cleaned up the glitter after her crafts exploded like confetti bombs. If Hannah wanted something, the world became pliable. "She didn't want the venue," Leah said, cooling spaghetti with her fork because she is a human fan. "She didn't want you to have it." I wanted to believe this time would be different. Maybe pregnancy had shifted her perspective. But when Hannah showed up at our place with a bag of lemon cookies and a smile bright as a ring light, I knew it was a campaign stop, not a visit. "You are going to be an uncle," she squealed, patting her belly. "This is a family miracle. My fiancé and I, well, you know, we cannot do the courthouse thing. It would crush Nana. Your venue is perfect, and you love us, so—" She trailed off, eyes glistening like wet marble. Leah opened her mouth. Leah has opinions that can peel paint, but I squeezed her hand. "We love you," I said. "We are not giving up our venue." The silence was a soft thud at first, then it hardened like ice. Hannah's smile tilted. "Wow, so you care more about a building than your family?" she said. "I always knew you were jealous." Jealous of what? Jordan muttered from the kitchen, biting a cookie like it owed him money. Leah shot him a look that translated to, "Shut up, soldier." Hannah stood, brushed imagined crumbs off her maternity jeans, and announced she needed air. After the door clicked, Leah asked very softly, "You okay?" I was, and I was not, because my father's sentence about what matters looped in my head like a bad song. "Is it wrong to choose friends over family?" I asked the window, which reflected back a man who looked older than 29.
My voice sounded like someone else's. Is it wrong to choose the people who show up over the people who show up to take? Before sleep, I scrolled the group chat. My mother had posted a photo of a rough draft seating chart in her neat script, with my name crossed out from the head table and replaced with Hannah's. The caption read, "Manifesting." Leah reached for the phone, read it, and said only, "Boundaries are love with a backbone." Her mouth made a thin line, the kind you see on marathoners the mile before the finish. Something ugly flashed in me. Anger, sure, but also envy. Leah never needed anyone's permission to stand up. "Teach me," I whispered. "Tomorrow," she said. "Tomorrow we start." We started with the vendors. I set passwords long and random, the kind that looked like a cat walked across the keyboard. I emailed the venue manager, a woman named Christine with a honey and bourbon voice, to put in writing that only Leah or I could make changes, and that any requests from anyone else should be ignored. She replied at 7:02 a.m. while I was stirring oatmeal that smelled like nutmeg in childhood, confirming the lock and promising to call if anything came in spicy. I told Leah, and she toasted a bagel to the point of ash, which means she is happy. 3 hours later, spicy arrived. My mother called as I was walking past a food truck that smelled like grilled onions and gasoline. She did not bother with hello. "The planner needs your signature for the transfer," she said. "Hannah is at their office at 9. I stopped, heart free-falling. "Transfer?" I repeated. "Transfer of what?" "Stop being dramatic," she said, "the way some people say, 'Good morning.' Your sister and I handled it." I hung up and ran. I do not run, generally, unless tacos are closing. I ran anyway. By the time I reached the corner, an email had landed in my inbox from Christine. The subject line, "Urgent, contract change request." The body was short, almost cheerful. "I received your mother's message and put in a transfer, but there is a cost surcharge for changing the names on the contract. Please come by at 9 a.m. to sign the new paperwork. That is good news." It read like a prank, like a badly translated dream. I called Christine and put her on speaker as I gasped down the sidewalk. Leah, on the other line, hovered like a siren. "We did not authorize a transfer," Leah said, voice steady. Christine went quiet, then exhaled. "Then I am very glad you set that password," she said, "because your mother provided a lot of details. She sounded very sure." "How sure?" I asked. "So sure she almost convinced me I had met with you already." I pictured my mother, chirping at a receptionist, tapping her nails on the counter. It slotted into the old puzzle. If the door is closed, she will try a window. If the window is latched, she will say the house is hers anyway. Leah said, very gently, "You lock it all." She meant more than the accounts. She meant the narrative. "Would you believe them or me in this story?" I asked Christine, the ceiling of a city bus reflecting like a mirror over my head as I ducked inside. I was asking everyone now. I was asking myself. My father texted a new thesis. "Your mother just misunderstood the process." The words tasted like metal, familiar, cold, poisonous. We were not having a misunderstanding. We were having a theft. I typed, erased, typed again. Finally, I sent, "Do not contact our vendors. Do not contact our planner. If you have concerns, talk to me. The venue is not available." I included a list of what we could share. The DJ playlist, minus our first dance, the photographer's referral list, the menu plan, which included Leah's grandma's lemon chicken and the spicy carrot salad no one likes but everyone eats.
Hannah replied with a paragraph of word confetti. Wow, 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 I cannot believe you are doing this to me, to our baby, to Nana. You are punishing me for being happy. You did not even look at apartments with me when I asked. You were never there. She attached a screenshot of a Pinterest board titled Spring Garden Dream, full of blush roses and white tent canopies, the exact aesthetic Leah had pieced together from yard sales and coupons. Jordan came by with a six-pack and a tub of hummus, because he reads crises like weather. He perched on our counter and said, "You know what my ex-wife used to do? I would tell her, hey, maybe don't bring this up with my mother. It will explode." And she would bring it up anyway, because she loved the chaos, then cry about the fallout like she was a victim of meteors. He shrugged, torn between sympathy and disgust. Some people don't want a solution. They want an audience. He told us about the time he begged for quiet and instead got a public fight at his dad's retirement dinner. It is a show, he said, and the hardest thing is walking off stage.
That night, Leah's father, Mr. Whitman, called. He is a retired cop with a voice like gravel and a handshake that could close a car door. "Kiddo," he told me, "you are not crazy. Hire security." We laughed, then did it. The company sent over two names, Alyssa and Marco, who would run quiet and polite, like ushers with radios. It felt insane, planning a wedding with security because my family might storm the buffet. But then I remembered the email from Christine. It did not feel insane anymore. It felt like locking the door. "Should I set strict boundaries with toxic siblings?" I asked Leah as we brushed our teeth, the mint sharp in my mouth. She spat foam and nodded. "Yes," she said, "with everyone." Halfway through this mess, the twist arrived. Not with sirens or spotlights, but with a paper bag of Chinese takeout that made our living room smell like sesame oil and sweet ginger. Hannah's fiancé, Nate, male, 26 years old, knocked at our door with a posture like apology. "I told her not to ask," he said. His eyes were pink, the rims raw. "I told your mother too. I am sorry." He handed us the bag and looked like he wanted to hand us back the last month. Nate sat at our dining table, tracing circles in a puddle of soy sauce. He said Hannah had mood swings that cracked like summer lightning. He said she cried at commercials and at candy wrappers, said she had not felt seen by our mother since she was 13. He said he thought a wedding would make her feel like the center of a story, not a plot twist. "I am not defending what she did," he said. "I am trying to explain how we got here." Leah listened, arms folded, then asked the question I had avoided. "What happens if we say no and she comes anyway?" Nate stared at his hands and said, "She will. She will come anyway, but I will try to stop it." "Try," Leah echoed. "Sometimes," he said, "trying is the only honest word." I wanted to be angry at him. Instead, I saw a version of me I did not want to be. The man who absorbs everyone else's thunder so the house stays quiet. I excused myself to the balcony, where the night smelled like rain and city heat. My phone buzzed. It was a message from my former college roommate, Serena, who had seen my vague post online. "In case you need it, when my mother worshipped my little brother into a disaster, she bought him a car at 16. He crashed it drunk. She blamed me for stressing him out, then asked me to help pay his lawyer. I said no, and she did not speak to me for a year. Best silence of my life." She sent a photo of her now, smiling, toddler on her hip, peace like a new haircut. That was the 30% I did not know I needed, a parallel story reminding me the sky does not fall when you refuse to hold it up. Her words slid into place like a brace on a broken bone. I came inside and told Leah and Nate what Serena had told me. "This is not new," I said. "It is just our turn." Nate nodded and said he would try again, would talk to Hannah, would try to keep her home on our wedding day. "I cannot promise," he said. It was not enough. It was honest. That night, I added Nate's name to the security list, marked Allowed In, and wrote to Alyssa and Marco, "Do not let Hannah or my parents pass the front gate." My hands shook when I hit send. The twist was not what they did. It was what I did in response. For once, I chose us. The week before the wedding, my father came over alone. No mother, no Hannah, no Nana with the floral tissues. He looked smaller, like clothes from last winter. He set a bag of oranges on our counter, the kind he used to peel for us after soccer, with the air of making an offering. "Your mother is hurt," he said. "You have always been the reasonable one. Can you not find a way to share?" I poured coffee. The mug warmed my fingers. He studied the backsplash like it might argue with him. "He raised you to be a good man," he said. "Good men put family first." "Family is not first when family is asking you to be last," I said. He flinched, almost proud. "You always were the smart one," he said, "but you should not be so hard." I told him about the transfer email. I watched the color leave his face, watched him imagine the headline, "Mother steals son's wedding while pregnant sister smiles." He rubbed his jaw. "Your mother, she did not mean." "She meant exactly what she did," I said. "You are asking me to understand her. I am asking you to understand me." We stood there, two men with the same mouth. He looked at the floor, then asked in a voice I had not heard since I was small, "Would you ever cut off parents for choosing sides?" The question hung between us like a snowflake nobody wanted to land. I had read that line online somewhere, and now it was in our kitchen like a ghost. I thought of Serena. I thought of Leah, who slid in quietly and topped off my father's mug as if showing him what grace looks like under pressure. "If I have to," I said, "I hope I don't have to."
He nodded, slow. "I will talk to your mother," he said. "I will try." It was not a promise. It was the only honest word. After he left, Leah and I sat on the floor with takeout noodles and said nothing for a while. The sun moved across the tile. "He came," Leah said finally. "That matters." "It does," I said. And then the doorbell rang. A florist delivery, peonies and eucalyptus, the whole apartment smelling like a clean forest. Leah buried her face in the bouquet and laughed into the petals. "Tomorrow," she said, "we pick up our suits." My heart stuttered in rhythm with the kitchen clock. For a minute, the wedding felt like a wedding, not a siege, and that was enough to keep going. The day arrived like a sunrise after a thunderstorm. Quiet, cautious, bright anyway. The venue glowed. The chairs were lined like teeth in a smile. The air was citrus and cut grass and something sugary from the bakery truck out back. Alyssa and Marco wore black suits and calm expressions. "We have your list," Alyssa said. "We will be gentle and firm." I loved her immediately. Our ceremony was at 4. At 3:40, my phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number. "We are 10 minutes out. Do not embarrass yourself. Let us in." Then a second. "We have Nana. Do you want to break her heart?" Leah looked at me and reached for both my hands, knuckles to knuckles, as if she were fitting me together. "They can sit outside," she said. "They can sit at home. We will be married either way." At 3:47, a black SUV rolled up and idled like an animal. Hannah stepped out in a pearl-beaded dress that looked expensive and badly chosen. My mother emerged behind her, lipstick red like a dare. My father slid out last, eyes on the gravel. Nana waved a tissue. Alyssa met them at the gate. I watched from the side window, the glass cool against my forehead. I could not hear the words, only the gestures. My mother pointing at the tent. Hannah touching her belly. Nana patting Alyssa's arm. Alyssa's smile, professional, tired. Marco's hand lifted subtly to his earpiece. Leah's fingers slipped between mine. "Breathe," she whispered. "I am here." There was a moment when I wanted to run out and fix it all, to apologize for the weather, the economy, the cost of chairs. I wanted to be reasonable. I wanted to keep the peace by handing my peace away. And then I remembered the bag of oranges, the transfer email, Serena's text, Jordan's story about the retirement dinner. "He did not cheat," I muttered to Leah, voice low and shaking. "He built a double life." She frowned, then realized what I meant.
My father had for years been a husband to 2 queens, the wife he loved by giving in, and the boy he loved by expecting him to do the same. Leah squeezed my hand. "Happiness is the quietest revenge," she said. Alyssa returned, expression unreadable. "They would like to speak with you," she said. "I told them you are busy." She winked. Tiny, a gift. "They are leaving," she added, but not happy. Through the glass, I saw my mother's mouth form my name, saw my father touch her arm, saw Hannah turn, jaw set like a door. The SUV pulled away. I exhaled, a sound like a storm ending. "Is it wrong to stop seeking parental approval?" I asked Leah, feeling the old ache and a new lightness tangle. She kissed my forehead. "It is right to seek your own," she said. The music started. The aisle waited like a promise I had written to myself, and I walked. At the reception, the air smelled like roast chicken and champagne and the sweet dust of the dance floor. People laughed the way you only laugh after something almost went very wrong and did not. Jordan clinked a glass and delivered a toast. "To the bride and groom who taught me 2 things. 1, do not put your mother on speakerphone after midnight. 2, love that is defended becomes stronger." He made a 3rd point about hummus that did not land but earned a cheer anyway. Leah danced with her father to a Sinatra song that made the room feel like a sepia photograph. I danced with Nana, who had stayed because she liked Alyssa's posture. "Your mother is stubborn," Nana said into my shoulder. "So am I. I wanted cake." Later, under fairy lights that smelled faintly of hot plastic, Leah and I shared a plate of our own cake, which tasted like lemon and relief. "Do you think they will talk to us again?" I asked. Leah shrugged, her necklace catching a glint. "Probably," she said, "but you taught them a new language today. They can learn it, or they can keep shouting in the old one." When we left, our friends formed a tunnel of sparklers. The night bloomed with noise and light. In the getaway car, Leah rested her head on my shoulder and whispered, "We did it." My phone buzzed, one new message. From my father. It read, "We will talk. I am sorry for today." I typed back, "Me too. Next week, neutral ground." Then I put the phone face down and watched Leah's reflection in the window, soft and sure. In the hotel room, the city below hummed like a calm engine. Leah brushed my hair off my forehead. "Should I distance myself or confront them directly?" I asked the ceiling. It was not a plea, it was a plan forming. "Both," she said. "We keep our door open and our locks changed." We fell asleep to the smell of the lilies someone had snuck into our room and the buzz of a mini-fridge. The morning would bring family fallout, and maybe apologies shaped like questions, and maybe new lines drawn thicker. But for one night, it was just us and the quiet revenge of joy. A week later, I met my father at a diner that has smelled like burnt coffee and buttered toast since 1983. He arrived early and buttered a second slice for me, a muscle memory offering. "Your mother is not ready to apologize," he said immediately, like a man stepping onto ice, announcing the crack before you hear it. "But she will not contact the venue again. That is something." "It is," I said. The waitress topped off my mug. A kid in a booth behind us banged a spoon against a menu, his mother unfazed. Life went on. "I want to rebuild with you," I told my father, "but I will not do it in a way that requires me to be small." He looked at the window's reflection of the neon sign and nodded. "I was a coward," he said. "You were brave." "I was tired," I corrected. "Brave sounds like a choice. I had run out of other options." We ate in a silence that felt like a truce and not like defeat. Before we left, he reached across the table and covered my hand with his, the way he did when I was 10 and scared of my first piano recital. "I will try," he said again. "I will keep trying." Outside, the air smelled like rain again. Serena sent me a photo of her toddler wearing a paper crown, frosting on both cheeks. "Still the best silence," she wrote of her year-long break from her mother, "but now we talk on my terms." Jordan texted a photo of his new puppy and a caption, "Emergency exit closed forever."
Leah sent a heart and a lemon emoji and a photo of the password list with a pen line through it, labeled retired. Alyssa emailed a final note. I have seen a lot of weddings. Yours had the most relief. That is not a bad thing. I turned the words over, like a coin that buys something you did not know you needed. Back home, Leah curled against me on the couch. Do you think this will ever feel normal? I asked. This is normal, she said. This is what happens when you stop living in other people's stories. I looked at our framed place cards on the shelf, at the dried sprig of eucalyptus tucked behind the glass, at the photo of Leah laughing with her head tipped back under the fairy lights. The road behind us had potholes named guilt and duty and reasonable. The road ahead was not paved either, but it was ours. And as I turned off the lamp, the last line of the whole story wrote itself without asking permission. And that is when I realized being loved should not require a sacrifice. Is it wrong to choose friends over family? I hear the internet echo in my head, a chorus that used to feel like betrayal and now sounds like a map. The map leads here. I am here. We made it.